ऐतिहासिक, शैक्षणिक, साहित्य व संस्कृतीची जोड म्हणजे स्मार्ट पुणेकर न्यूज.
QS iGauge जो है एक रेटिंग सिस्टम हमने डेवलप किया है इंडिया में, जो QS क्वैक्रेली सिमंस जो ग्लोबल रेटिंग एंड रैंकिंग एजेंसी है, उनका एक कंपनी हमने इंडिया में सेटअप किया है जो इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूशंस को हेल्प कर रहा है टू इम्प्रूव देयर क्वालिटी and achieve academic excellence in their journey towards achieving global standards. तो इस आइडिया को लेके हमने एकेडमिक लीडर्स को यहाँ पे लाके एक कॉन्क्लेव क्रिएट किया है, जहाँ पे हम लोग फोकस कर रहे हैं एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी गैप्स के रीजंस क्या है, हाउ डू वी मिटिगेट दैट गैप्स, ऑल्सो टेक्नोलॉजी को कैसे यूज़ कर सकते हैं टू काइंड ऑफ take leadership position for institutions to take their journey to the next level. So and also holistic education, जब हम holistic education की बात करते हैं तो it is सिर्फ एक क्लासरूम के अंदर ही नहीं होता है holistic education. वो it includes life skills, how do we teach children to deal with the day to day challenges that they come across in their life. So ये एक complete roadmap that we are trying to create in this conclave, which will help particularly the region here in Maharashtra and Gujarat and Maharashtra and Gujarat and MP, इस रीजन को फोकस करते हुए ये जो कॉन्क्लेव हम कर रहे हैं. एंड हमारे लिए आज सम ऑफ द बेस्ट स्पीकर्स जो यहाँ आए हैं, डॉक्टर राजन सक्सेना जो एक्स वाइस चांसलर ऑफ NIMS NMIMS है, एंड IT डायरेक्टर प्रोफेसर कामाकोडी आए हैं टू शेयर देयर व्यूज़ ऑन दिस, एंड इट इज़ गोइंग टू बी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. इसके अंत में हम लोग हमारे रेटेड इंस्टीट्यूशंस को, जो इंस्टीट्यूशन हमारा होलिस्टिक असेसमेंट जो लिया है, जिसके थ्रू उनको एक फेलिसिटेशन और अवार्ड सेरेमनी मिल रहा है. हम लोग इंडिया का सबसे पहला और मोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंट रेटिंग सिस्टम है, जिसकी वजह से इंस्टीट्यूशंस को हम उनको समझ में वी आर ट्राइंग टू हेल्प देम टू अंडरस्टैंड कैसे आपको ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स को अटेन करना है, क्या आपका रोड मैप कैसा है. सो एक रोड मैप हम देते हैं इस ऑडिट के थ्रू. सो जो इंस्टीट्यूशन से ऑडिट अंडरगो किया है उनको हम ऑनर भी कर रहे हैं, वो जो एक बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है, बिकॉज इट इज़ not so easy to undergo this audit assessment. So thank you very much for all of you joining here.
Academic conclave which QS iGauge has organized in Pune city. As you know, Pune has always been called the Oxford of the East, and when we look at the global rankings today, we hardly have one institution from Pune in the QS World University ranking. There are 1,400 higher education institutions in Pune, and I think another 1,300 schools. So the potential to make Pune into a global higher education hub is there, and I think we need to start working on charting the course for creating that hub. And that is why this event is organized today, is to look at strategies at a state and a district, at the state and city level, to create that awareness on the various measures which universities and higher education institutions and schools need to take to gain international recognition and becoming globally recognized.
Sir, how it looks about the new education policy which was recently implemented by the government of India?
So the National Education Policy 2020 is a game changer policy. It's a brainchild of Honorable Prime Minister, and I think we are really so privileged to have this game changing policy in a time when we are transforming our economy as well. So some of the important elements in the National Education Policy aims at making India a global hub. We're looking at interdisciplinary education, we're looking at international partnerships, we're looking at having transferable credits and several other game-changing initiatives. And if implemented correctly, this can really propel India into a global hub. And of course, if you want to become a $44 trillion economy by 2047, this next 25 years, the Amrit Kaal years, are going to be so critical for us, and hence the National Education Policy, if implemented well, will play a major role.
So this is a good rosy picture of new education policy that you have said now. But there are many chapters, there are many, even the periodic table is being eliminated from the syllabus.
Yes.
So there are negative things also. How do you look at it?
So I think we need to start looking at the positives first, because of course you cannot make everybody happy, and particularly I don't know the example you're talking about, but for sure we can see Karnataka implementing this very well. We can see the national curriculum framework coming into play. The National Research Foundation, just a few days back, they have the government has already passed that into further stage in Parliament. So let us not dwell on maybe misinformation, but I think when we're looking at moving fast, we have to start looking at those low-hanging fruits first. So the fact of the matter is, we really need to transform the higher education sector. We need to work on the ways to rework and redesign what we're currently doing. And I think these are probably matters which need to be looked at. But definitely, let's be positive, and I think that's the first step.
Yeah. One more question. There is an accreditation thing. One is NAC. How do you differentiate your this thing?
I mean, I always say that QS, and as a global organization, we don't compete with national accreditations. National accreditations in any country, and we are a ranking institution for 20 years now as a QS World Ranking. iGauge has been operating for 5 over years, and during this time, the national accreditations in India, it's probably NAC, and we also have NIRF. So all of this helps support the institutions to push them forward on a national level. What QS is doing is trying to give an international stage to institutions. So we go hand in hand, we complement each other, and our national QS iGauge, which is a national rating, will help institutions go beyond the minimum standards, because what accreditations look at is minimum standards. We need to look beyond that into global standards, into global ambitions, and that can happen when we work hand in hand with accreditation.
So is it going to affect the rural school education system?
Absolutely, absolutely. So
because,
the QS iGauge system has been designed not just for the urban India, but for the real India, and even we are looking at how the system can be implemented at the schools in the villages. Beyond that as well, QS has a foundation called QS Impact, which is we're starting off in India very soon. So we want to go beyond the evaluation and accreditations into how we can really impact the community as well through our foundation. So that remains to be seen on the impact we will have.
So, sir, what kind of efforts should be taken to develop the rural education actually? Because still in rural areas of country, they are still lacking behind in due to the lack of infrastructure and all these things. So, what kind of efforts should be taken to develop?
I have always advocated that the institutions from urban areas, those which have the privileges, should be partnering, adopting schools, colleges in the rural areas and working with them. And I think that is yet to be seen on a much bigger level. Today we had Professor Kamakoti from IIT Madras, who said how the brilliant work they're doing. I mean, we want more IIT Madras institutions like IIT Madras to create that ecosystem where they kind of nurture institutions in rural areas. So I think more than anything else, we need to take our bags and walk into the villages, walk into the districts, and support them with their development and their ambitions, not for global, but at least for state recognition.
So while doing this social engineering project that you are into, India is a middle class and lower middle class kind of country. So while giving education to their child, school fees and higher education fees is an integral part of it. So do you have any suggestion on that?
I think the partnership from institutions in the cities will play a major role. The government, I think, is doing a lot of schemes at the moment to support rural India, and I think there's some disparity. Of course, we're a nation of we just turned 1.4 billion, the largest populous nation. So there's going to be some disparity. But the question is the government committed And I think, yes, the government is committed. We can see that commitment, but the trickle down effect is so slow. And if people like us, QS iGauge institutions, join hands together to build this ecosystem in rural India, I think we can still achieve much faster.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.